Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I am still Blue Moony, fantasy writer and shy magical library in human skin. How are we all doing tonight? I hope you're well. I suppose I'm as well as I can be, given the circumstances at the moment. Yes, I was very busy throughout most of the day, just trying to get a few things organised for all the big things coming up, which I'm not going to go into great detail about. Besides the fact that, yes, it is cutting our NaNoWriMo adventure slightly short. My last writing day will be the 27th of November. Assuming I make it that far, I'm still umming and ahhing over whether I should just call it off now to, remove one slight stressor from my life at the moment. But we're so close. Let's just have a look at just how close we are. How close are we? How close are we? Here we are. We're very close. We're at 86%. We're at just over 43,000 words of the 50,000. So it's the 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, assuming I write every day. 4 days to get out roughly 7,000 words. Oh dear, what is that? I cannot do maths in my head. I am a library, not a calculator. 7,000 words divided by 4 days. Just over par each day, assuming I do every day. That's 1,750 words for 4 days. It's definitely doable. I mean, I think the majority of my writing days have been above par, I think. Let's have a quick look. That's not where I want to look. Let's jump over here, where it gives me the numbers that are slightly more useful to me. Yes, so 1 day below, 2 days below, 3 days below. Only 4 days below par of every writing day. These two don't count. Just couldn't write those days, they just don't count. So yes, it's doable, but I wasn't under the same pressures then as I am now. So I'm hoping it's all right, but I think I'm going to stick with what I started doing yesterday and writing whatever notes I'm able to during the day and sort of taking you through them and adding more as I go. I managed to get the small one down at her normal time today, or roughly her normal time. Wait, no, it wasn't her normal time. But it was earlier than I've been able to get her down lately in any case. So I had a bit of time before stream to get some notes down, and this note-taking felt pretty good. It felt like how I generally feel in this stage of writing, the, quick and dirty and detailed notes with some measure of excitement, which I don't think I've given you a proper display of what's that supposed to be like during the streams, and I am sorry about that. I'm guessing it's the pressures of writing live, and I'm still just not used to it. But I suppose I'll be able to show you with these notes that I took kind of what it's supposed to look like when I write like this, and how easy it is. Well, not easy exactly, but a relatively simple process to sort of pull it together, even if it takes a long time, because, at that point you want to try to get things sounding pretty good. Oh dear, let's bring up our old friend Scrivener. Scrivener, Scrivener, there you are. I retitled our notes from yesterday with the date, and I may just do it like this over the next few days, because most of them aren't going to be in any particular order. And, yeah. Just whatever we can get down at this point. It's, all words going towards this story, and it's by any means necessary at this point. Straining and striving and struggling and scraping just to reach the 50,000 words. We can do it. I don't know whether we should, but we can do it. So I'm just gonna keep trying here. And yes, feel free to call me ridiculous and tell me to stop and that I need to pay more attention to personal life things right now. I'd very much welcome that. I may not listen to you, but it would be very welcome nonetheless. Rightio, let's copy over the notes I took, and let's see if I cannot fight with highlighting tonight. Oh, that was lovely and smooth, thank you. I don't know how many words this is going to be, but they're going to be quite close together. I might go back and space things. Oh, over 1,000 words, that's nice. That's a solid start, isn't it? Yes, I thought of an event that I should squeeze in between orientation and the first day of school, because I think I decided they get one day off there. And I was just going to sort of skim over it, but I've thought of something that might be a little bit important. I haven't actually gotten to it in the notes yet. I'm just leading up to it. Oh dear, we still have the background music on. Turning down. There we go, and here's our rain. Here's our rain. That's nice. Or it would be if I had my headphones on. I should probably use my headphones. I can't hear myself properly with them on, and I can't have my voice coming through because I get the echo effect. I prefer to hear what I sound like as best I can. So headphones are off. If it doesn't work out, they'll go back on. But let's just see how we do. I'm just gonna skim through these and put spaces between everything just to make it easier to read. I'll also make the font bigger for ease of reading. Do not wish to strain anyone's eyes in the least. Just give me a moment, I'm sorry. There we go. Let's bring that up to, will 14 do? I'm not sure. I know I've been mostly writing in smaller font sizes, but I probably shouldn't have. It's difficult to read, isn't it? It looks a little alarming to me, typing it, but hopefully it's a bit easier on all your eyes. Okay, so yes, I did indeed think of a new event the day after orientation and the day before school starts. Say for the new cohort, maybe it's for maybe new school year for all cohorts. I imagine they have some kind of breaks, at least from main classes, but I think all their tutor classes will continue. So maybe that's when they have their holidays. They have their holidays just before new members arrive, or called a chosen. Of course it's chosen. Maybe 2 weeks. And possibly there's another 2 weeks over maybe over New Year's. New Year's seems like a very sensible time to have big celebrations. think it's the New Year's holidays that's the biggest celebration in my main magical project. Although in that world, there's a feast day for every deity, and there's a deity for every neighborhood and every district in the city. So, they're not days off unless they're for really big important deities, but lots of chances to celebrate, which is nice. Less so here. I think they probably just celebrate, their city's chosen prime candidates' birthdays, and yes, probably not many other citywide celebrations. So 1 week or 2 weeks, decide later. I mean, we will cross over New Year's, I think, because we're going over a year. And I think we decided that the new chosen are selected. I think it was around April and July or September. I'd have to check my notes, but it wasn't at the beginning of the school year. And I am very tempted to have the school year starting with January, because that's how it is in Australia, where I am. And in my head, it makes much more sense to start school at the beginning of the year. I suppose for us in Australia, that's not so bad. It's in the summer, but perhaps it's an unpleasant thing to start a school year in the winter in the Northern Hemisphere, and that's why it's not done. What is it? In the US, it's in autumn, isn't it? And in Japan, it's in the spring. It just seems so confusing to have, the calendar year and the school year not line up. It's very untidy in my head, and I don't like it. But yes, I don't think I've consciously decided what it's going to be in my main magical project. I probably should, given at least one of the main characters. They don't come in as a main character until maybe book 3, but they're still in the first 2 books a lot. They're still at school, so I should probably be clear when the school year starts. I'm not sure. I might pull another blue and have it start at the beginning of the calendar year as well. Maybe, or possibly because it's quite anime inspired. It is. Maybe I'll go with the spring. Not anything that needs an immediate decision. But yes, given they will be hitting their New Year's holidays in the main magical project in book 3, I'll at least have to make it clear by then. Plenty of time. Okay, so possibly 1 week or 2 weeks for New Year's. Other citywide celebrations, mainly the birthdays of their chosen prime candidates. So yes, I think the director or a teacher or someone told the cohort to, well, at the end of orientation they were told to relax the next day, and possibly the insinuation that you're going to need it, and chosen one careers ahead of you have to, one more day to yourself, hint at the rest for the rest of your life, maybe. That might be good to sort of make heavy that from now on your days don't belong to you. They belong to your city. Don't know whether to just say that clearly in the orientation chapter, or maybe they can receive a message that morning or something. all reading between the lines, but I think Liot's actually quite good at that. Kind of liking how both Liot and Min are evolving as we're going. I mean, it means we'll have to do a lot of adjustments earlier on, but we have to do a lot of adjustments earlier on anyway, so it's not a problem. I mean, Min is sort of emerging as slightly less goody two-shoes than I thought she was. Still a bit. But I think it's... Oh, what's the word I'm looking at? You know, I think she's conscientious without being, you know, teacher's petty. Teacher's pet E. Not teacher's petty. Some teachers may be petty, theirs is not. Their teacher is a good being. But, yes, also Min, the way I've been thinking about her now, you know, still very quiet and careful with her words sort of thing, but, you know, not really particularly introverted, I think. I think I go into this briefly in the notes further on, that, you know, Min isn't soft-spoken, but she steps lightly, sort of thing. And Liot, poor Liot, he's put on, well, I suppose they're both put under a lot of different kinds of pressures. Oh, that's another note I'm just going to throw down quickly down here so I don't forget. I haven't gone into much detail with these ones back here. Oops. But, oh yeah, I think I need to sort of make it clearer earlier that they do need to do some sort of tests with Liot, and he knows what's going on, and it's all to just try to see how he flew under the radar. Well, you know, they make a show of inviting him to do it, I suppose, but he gets the feeling that maybe if he refused, they would insist. Because I've been wondering, you know, there's only so much they can do with Min if this is the particular thing they want to find out, so I think it's more likely they're keeping Min because they're, at this point, interested in looking into her and how she's at 0 and seeing if there's any way to affect her fate. Because, yes, 0 is about as unprecedented as Liot's very high score, so yes, it just seems that's a more likely reason they're holding Min for the experiments at the moment, because I think they're unsure that she's had any effect on him at this point. They only sort of discover that later. I mean, initially they were wondering if she could have hidden it somehow. I mean, they didn't know how, but they had to go through, you know, all possible options at that point. So Liot is invited to participate in some tests to help him understand how he flew under the radar for so long. Yes, it's an invitation, but Liot gets the feeling that if he declined, they would insist. Didn't really want to test that. I think I'm also starting to lean towards a slightly more mature and intelligent way of speaking for Liot, because I'd originally had him as just, you know, he's not good at school, he's not good at any of this, he's, yes, not particularly intelligent, and I should therefore, you know, only use words that he would use and such. But I think, you know, it's coming out that he is actually quite intelligent. His brain just sort of stopped him from trying as a sort of defense mechanism, I think. But I think for Liot it sort of, makes sense to use similar language as Min does. I think Min would still be more sort of lyrical, but Liot will have his lyrical moments, I think. I have to make sure their voices do sound distinct. And maybe the best way to do that is just, Min is an optimist and Liot is a pessimist. So in that sense, their word choices will be quite different. And, just the way they look at the world. Oh yes, up here. Back up here. Okay, so Liot spent the morning in his room, trying to keep himself calm and, we can give him a chance here to come to terms with everything try to come to terms with everything that's been happening the past few days. And, I hadn't even come close to starting to confront what's ahead of him, trying to relax, but every muscle, every stringy fibre of him wound so tight, jumped every time the atmosphere pump, I'm guessing, air conditioner, heat pump, keeping everything perfectly pleasant, blipped, or one of his roommates spoke. I've been wondering about the roommates, whether the two other ones should be the enemy kids, just so we have more chances for conflict. Just add that as a maybe. And that would give Lalaya more reason to be, cross with them a lot of the time. I'm still not sure exactly what happened between them. I've got a feeling that they used to be reasonably close, until maybe even quite recently. And I still feel awful calling them enemy kids. I'm wondering if after we go through all of these notes, if we have time, whether to try to write brief descriptions for each sort of character who deserves them, who pops up now and then with speaking roles. I've been listening to an audiobook lately, which I've never really gotten into because my audio processing skills are not brilliant, and if I don't catch something or I don't follow something, I get in a bit of a fluster trying to take it back and listen to it again. And I also don't like the idea of listening to audiobooks to go to sleep, because then I miss what happens in the books and then I won't be able to find my place. But I made myself keep listening today because, I don't really do my household chores with television or music on, because television or music is generally on for the smaller one. Either or. And it would be nice if I could listen to books while I'm doing things, so I'm making myself try a little harder, and the processing is still quite difficult, but, pushing on. But yes, I got hit by worst writer in the world syndrome again today, just listening to this one by quite a well-known young adult dystopian writer. I hadn't listened to this story yet. I'd wanted to read it eventually, but I think I wound up getting the audiobook for it as when I was still subscribed to Audible years and years and years ago, but am no longer. But we retain our things, which is, nice. I wouldn't really put it past a company like Amazon to remove them. But no, it's there. I'm listening to it, and just the way that this author writes and describes people, it's lovely. It's lovely. I'm sure she's not the best writer in the world, but she is definitely better than me. I know I need to practice more, and I need to get more people reading my stories for feedback, but I just feel so awkward asking for people to read, because frequently, and understandably so among writers, it's reciprocal reading, and I would love so much to read other people's things and give feedback, but it's time pressures and just not having enough time. Barely having enough time to write my own stuff, let alone read other people's, and to compound difficulties. My line editing is brutal and relentless and cannot be silenced. I have difficulty not tearing things apart. And tearing things apart is probably not what most writers want at most stages. I worry I might have hurt a few people's feelings unintentionally with that. No, I'm sure I'm a dreadful structural editor. I don't even try that. I don't know how good of a line editor I am, but I'm thorough and I'm brutal, and it takes me hours upon hours upon hours just to do, one chapter. It's just not viable most of the time. And yes, that means I don't feel right really asking anyone to read my stuff if I can't read theirs in return. It's a problem. It's a problem. Oh well. Not a problem I can solve right now, so let's try to get... we should get over par, but I'd like to get as many as possible, and I don't really want to go much longer than an hour. But yes, if we get through these notes and we have time to try to think of a few creative descriptions, brief, of characters like, the two enemy kids and the director, pick an aspect of their appearance, an aspect of their demeanour or presence, and weave that together into a nice, brief paragraph that paints, a lovely picture, but leaving in plenty of space for readers to fill themselves. For the main characters, I think I'll still try to sprinkle descriptions through as much as possible. Still fairly early, but I'm not sure about having the chunked descriptions for them. Oh dear. Because I think I haven't really described much about any characters at all. It's all just sort of come out through how they've behaved, what they've said, which I suppose is a good thing, but it doesn't quite paint a picture as such. Okay, so Leo's in his room. He's making these notes to the other roommates be the enemy kids. I want to just put down an idea of possible reason why Lolai is no longer getting along with them. That they were probably quite good friends up until recently. Maybe that's why they were assigned as roommates. Maybe it's even a disagreement over Liot, and they're angry that she's sort of decided to make friends with him or something. And Lolai is angry that they're not. And as we know, Lolai, feels like she has to. It will help raise her position, and the other two don't seem to understand that. Okay. Where's my mouse? There you are. So, 3 roommates are in the common room, lounging and chatting, and Lolai not on good terms with them, only speaking to really tell them off. Not really. Well, actually, given how much Lalaya talks, initially I only spoke to tell them off. It keeps jumping disapprovingly, goodness me, into the conversation. But Liot hears every word as though it's yelled into his ear canals. And here we go with Min, just because he's used to living with her. Not spoken exactly. Step slightly. Considerate, chose her words carefully, as well as choosing when to speak carefully. Except when, gossiping, arguing with Siecha over the much-anticipated never-to-occur rematch between Traus and Brioc. And yes, this is foreshadowing. And yes, Liot had always thought Siecha was loud. He thought his classmates back home were loud. He'd been wrong. These kids were loud. They spoke like the whole world, hung on to their every word. And, Min would be so admiring of that. A very small... I should probably add that Min would admire that so much. As for Liot, a very small part of him could almost admire that kind of confidence, but yes, after being forced to listen to them all morning, was starting to think most of that confidence was misplaced. Oh dear. Oh, goodness me. Excuse me, sorry. Okay. And so the three classmates left around noon. Lalaya stuck her head in without knocking and said, "We're going to go eat with the cohort. Are you coming?" Liot, I think, had spent most of the morning in the armchair by the window. He tucked his legs under him tighter, like the carpet beneath him was laced with an elusive vein of lava. Yes, nothing like this was sort of coming to me when I was writing live, which is unfortunate because I'll need things like that to come to me when I eventually start writing shorts live. Yes, I had been planning on using some shorts that I've already written for some live streams initially while I worked up the courage to write shorts live. You'd think I'd be up to it by now, but apparently not. Though I've been considering instead using those shorts to make a few videos instead of streams. I'm not sure yet, but I'm just wondering whether when I've written them already that a video might be more sensible. We'll see how I go. I haven't actually made videos before, only streams. But I think I'd want to keep them very simple, just similar layout, probably minimal edits, because I don't know how to edit. I could learn, but given they're short stories and I've written them already, I don't think many edits would be necessary, assuming I keep to the point. Yes. In any case, I'll think more about that later. Okay, so Liot's saying he thinks he'll just stay here. Lalaya squeezed an hour's worth of wheedling into 30 seconds, but when Liot didn't budge, she frowned, a deep V folded in her brow above her nose. Then a shadow of understanding flitted across her expression, followed by an even briefer wit of self-reproach. Sort of, come to this realization, but, has to say it out loud. Not she could have put. Observing loudly that he's not comfortable here with them yet, and that's okay, you've just gotten here. you're very shy, you'll get used to it. And of course, though, you miss your family, don't you? And Liot, I think that hits him like a battering ram sort of thing. They may use a different simile, because not sure how applicable battering rams are. Probably a freight truck would work better. And starts crying. We have Lalia just rush in, big hug. I've got scratchy hug from the material of her dress. And then flies out again, calling over her shoulder that she'll order him something. Liot had not planned on eating, and, I should say initially only pictured the platter. I'm just seeing like a giant board with lots of small indentations, so each with bite-sized portions of a million different dishes, and Liot, given his card games, and he's probably quite good at board games too. I'm taking this, mining it from a story, another one which, one day if I have the time, I would write it. It's another one with a school, a different kind of school. I really quite like it. It just needs a lot of work, but I had one character being a sort of game master in the same sense that Liot is, but it's not vital to that story, so I may give her a different talent. Yes, I don't think it's vital to the story in the least. It was just a cool detail, I guess. And it made her a little bit different. But I can easily think of something else if I ever write that story. Oh dear. Yes, the protagonist for that story is a rather quiet young man as well, who does not want to be at that school. Well, he didn't initially, he does now. But yes, he was not meant to be there. Kind of in an even greater sense than Liot thinks he's not meant to be here. Yes, it's rather unpleasant circumstances that poor boy wound up at that school. But different story. Also a dystopian story. I've quite a few of them, I guess. I suppose I went through thinking about... I came up with most of my ideas around the time when all popular young adult stuff was pretty much dystopian. I'm just slow. Yes, I think I saw a video saying dystopian books aren't having a comeback, and they're probably not going to. But that's okay. I'll just write what I feel. Okay, so Liot hadn't planned on eating, was only picking at things initially, many different dishes, but just tiny, tiny portions of each. And he sees it like a board game, and each piece is presented like its own masterpiece. So many flavours and textures that Liot was overwhelmed after just 3 bites. And so, he's occupying himself, shuffling his cards, playing solo games. We know his room's still full of gifts, and he's barely opened any, so maybe just listlessly opening a few more. Rifling through clothes in his cupboard, but keeps finding himself drifting back to the platter to explore another immaculate, mouth-sized work of art. I didn't know art could affect all 5 senses at once. Maybe a brief mention of some art in the inner city. I think there is art there, but it would be probably sparse in the cold. Okay, so I have around 3 o'clock. I'm thinking about shifting some of these around already, just rearranging a bit, but still happens. So Leot ventures out at around 3, and he knows the others aren't back yet because he can't hear them, and he would have heard them the instant they stepped out of the elevator. So he's drifting around the empty common room. He hasn't really had a chance to explore it yet, so I'm considering shifting any description I've got of the room earlier to here. There's no real need to go over it earlier, I don't think. I mean, I think earlier we're more focused on the roommates as opposed to the room itself. Here we are. Yes, the view draws him to the balcony, or it would have, but the doors wouldn't open. He wasn't sure if they were always locked, if they'd been locked because he was alone in there. Yes, went back to his room, thinking about, they didn't really think he was going to jump, did they? He could never, far too afraid, not that he actually considered it as an option or thought that he would do it. But yes, he's an emotional wreck, so maybe he can understand taking the precaution. Makes himself feel a little better. Thinking the doors were locked for all the inner city kids and not just him. Maybe had a few incidents before. Thinking that abruptly made him stop feeling better. Okay, he's back at the platter in his room. It's all cold, but, still beautiful. Just absently eating a bit more. And I've got here some kind of eggplant fritter. Half of it battered and fried and half of it fresh. And topped with polka dots of pureed something green. He's not sure what. And the first bite zips a hint of spice across his palate and then it explodes. Leot is not good with spice, it seems. Exploded to sauces. Flounders for the water pitcher. Manages to get his hands around its neck. He kind of needs both to steer it. Oh, I haven't really gone into detail, but I think Leot is still quite a small kid. You should probably give him a growth spurt this year. It might help his confidence a little bit. Oh dear. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I'm just going to throw that down the bottom in case I haven't got it anywhere else. I just had a good phrase in my head and I've completely forgotten it. Of course I have. No, I can't think of it right now. It's fine. This is fine. Oh dear, we're already approaching an hour, and we have gone off on a few tangents tonight. Oh dear, let's just go through here quickly and then I'll try to finish up these notes just for this event that we're working on right now. Here we are. So refilling his empty glass, mental note to refill as soon as it's empty until he gets familiar with the spice levels around here. Halfway through gulping icy relief, his new tech pad burst with noise like a triumphant fanfare. I'm hearing like the Final Fantasy fanfare. And, what is it? That one. It won't be that, but in that vein. So yes, drops the glass, of course he does. I don't think he actively, his hand doesn't spring open, but just his grip would loosen a little bit and it's slippery from condensation, so it slipped out. Oh no reaction. I think it's not like Min, I don't think it even tried to grab, it's already resigned to it shattering. So hard, leaping, springing backwards to avoid the glass and the shatter, but it doesn't come. Or the glass is soft enough, or the glass is indestructible. Well, either the carpet's soft enough. Did I say glass? I think I did. Or the glass is indestructible. So, the yacht, feeling a little bit foolish, can creep to his tech pad. He hasn't looked at it since he's gotten it. We have a message here from the director's office calling the inner city chosen one kids. There will be a certain term for them. Calling them to the main lecture hall in half an hour. Liot, unsure for about 10 minutes, wondering what they're calling them about. He wants to know what it is so he can prepare himself. It's something that only affects inner city kids, clearly, but aside from offering adjustment support, he's not sure what it could be about, but then decides that yes, it's probably just offering adjustment support. So that's okay, and he could probably use the guidance. And so I'll need to slip it into the beginning more. But I think I want Liot to have a habit of just sort of tidying himself, in the nearest reflective surface. I've got the water pitcher here. There are mirrors, but it's not really normal to go to one. I don't remember whether I put a mirror in their apartment. If I have, I may remove it. Yes, to make sure he was tidy, a habit more useful to him from now on. Used to get him teased. I'm wondering whether I suppose he was just trying to make himself look not as good as possible, but as, blend-inable as possible, as unobtrusive, is that the word I'm looking for? That's the right word, but I'll know what I mean at least, and I can figure out what the correct word is later. So, yeah. Leaving early for the meeting to give himself time in case he got lost. And I was quite sure he wouldn't, but wanted to be extra careful. Would not arrive late. Everyone would turn and stare at him. But it wasn't a problem because, he's got patrollers stationed outside his door and they escorted him. I've got here that he passes a few other kids on their level and neither one of them are accompanied by patrollers. And I know I'd originally written in a previous chapter about people commenting on the number of patrollers and such, and then saying it's about Liot and other cities maybe trying to have him murdered, sort of thing. I'm just wondering if there's a way to sort of get this around here. I'll just have to see how it fits in previously and see if I can find a better way to do it here. he's not the only one who had the idea to arrive early. The director can... well, yes, I think she's quite impressed that they're all early. Good sign, already taking your chosen lives seriously. I think maybe one kid has a nervous habit to just burst out with what they're thinking. You know, just didn't want to be late. I think the director will be fairly, gently amused at this. That will also help you. Okay. This will all probably be one chapter in and of itself, which is okay, given I am planning on writing this serially, or having the chapters released serially. I think it's fine to do it like that. I think I was getting thrown off slightly listening to the book today, given, books written for traditional publishing may tend to have longer chapters, but may tend to. Many would, not all, but many would. But when you're writing for serial release online, I think, generally shorter is best. I think something I've read says roughly 2,000 words is generally good, so people can have their quick read and then keep going about their busy lives. But I think, in general, I'm trying to keep... I don't think it said 2,000. I think 2,000 was deemed, an appropriate amount. People would feel like they, the chapter was worth it, so to speak, when it's at least 2,000 words, and it's still not too long. But I think 2,000 words up until about 3,500 should be fine. And so hopefully all of these notes, I'm currently gesturing at my computer screen. I don't know why. I talk with my hands. Yes, gesturing, pointing, drawing circles around my notes. Oh dear. Yes, all of this will be its own chapter. I think I had originally meant for this particular meeting to take up most of the chapter, but I don't think it's necessary. I think, some brief advice and offers of support. I think probably a counsellor specialising in inner city kids coming in as chosen. I think the main reason I wanted to do this is for the director to make the observation, or at least give them the warning that they need to sort of be happier. I guess it seems, they know it's difficult, but maybe this year more than others, it just seems like, I don't know, they're not grateful, and that does not sit well, probably, with the other kids, with the teachers, with any of the upper city. So just sort of, I guess, being told to hitch their smiles up or something in the nicest possible way. So how do we describe that? I think possibly, some sort of feedback from upper city audience. I guess it is kind of like the upper city is sponsoring them. I had been wondering whether to just not really have much mention of their families in an attempt to just sort of make the kids forget about them, but I don't think that's how it would work. You have to remember these kids are being, constant coddling, constant affirmation. And with the inner city kids, they know this will be a big thing and it has to be addressed. phrase, how to phrase. Probably putting way too much down here. I'll figure out a simple way to do it, and hopefully just get it done in a far more eloquent manner. It's in your best interest to smile for the cameras. Maybe there should be the comment that, they've been hoping they would be more excited than upset, I guess. And maybe most years that is the case. Nothing wrong with being sensitive, but does present a small problem so far as image goes. Might wind up sort of shifting this one down here as opposed, and not have them say what the concerns are here. Maybe none of them came to the group lunch. Poor Liot. Keeps thinking he should talk to these kids, he should try to get to know them, you know. They seem even worse off than he is. Maybe some brief. Maybe he wonders if he's getting some sort of special treatment that he doesn't know about. What's the word I'm looking for? What's the word? It's not evil or resentful. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, I think the other inner city kids will be quite resentful of Liot, because he is getting a fair bit of special treatment. There's no difference in rooms or, you know, supplies. He's got a lot more gifts than they do. So I'm wondering whether coming out of the meeting, there's a bunch of kids in the common space. That might work. I'll just see how it worked in the previous chapter where I put it. It might work better here. And I can't think of a way to sort of end the chapter in the meeting, so ending it on the, they're here to protect Liot from likely assassination attempts. That's probably a stomach dropping moment to end a chapter on. That should work. Yeah, we went through these notes. This is just something I took as a reminder to myself. The way I've been writing it so far, it does sort of seem like event after event after event, and it doesn't seem sort of personal enough for Liot. Kind of, maybe it's just because there's so much happening to him, we haven't had a chance to go into it, but I think we're going to have to. Exactly what he's going through, being forced to leave his family, being forced so abruptly out of his comfort zone. But also the enormity of becoming a chosen one, and not just any chosen one, but likely a chosen prime candidate with, what's he supposed to do with the knowledge that he's got the highest fate ever recorded? Okay. So yes, this is the event that I thought of. It may not seem like a huge one, but I think it's interesting that the inner city kids get called in here and advised to smile more. Just so it looks like they're grateful, because otherwise, it could be bad for their image. And image is very important to a chosen one's career. Where is it? Yes. So we didn't get around to trying to pull together some somewhat eloquent, brief descriptions of characters that are not main characters but do have talking roles, just so we can have a proper impression of them. If I get a chance tomorrow at any point, I'll start trying to pull some pretty things together if I can. Maybe that's my problem as well, listening to this author's book, because they are, this writing is quite beautiful and my writing is not very beautiful, and every time I think I'm okay with that, I get hit by worst writer in the world syndrome when I try to read something else. I really need to stop that, because I need to read more. I need to read more to improve. And I want to. It's just so frustrating to have these sort of emotional issues and self-esteem issues just reading. I want it to stop. Maybe I should just bombard myself with as much reading material as possible. Maybe that'll get me out of it. Oh dear. Sorry. I really like my writing style in my main magical project, but it is a very distinctive project with very distinctive voice and style that really works for that particular story, and I'm not sure that exact style will work well for all my other stories. I think that we can still have the idea of that sort of, I mostly call it scrappy, my scrappy style. I think it can, there can be parts of it in my other stories, but I'm just not sure it works as well. Oh well, that's okay. Let's check our word count for today. So we're at 45,082. Let's update that. And we'll check, what is it? 45,082 words. 5,082 words. Update progress. Oh, there we go. Slightly less than yesterday, but well over par. Oh, I hope so. That's my last day. Hopefully we'll be finished on November 27th. We'll see how we go. How far ahead are we? 45. 3 days ahead. That's exactly where we need to be. 3 days ahead. Okay, so tomorrow we can hit roughly the same thing. We should still get this. Okay, let's wrap up for tonight. Thank you. Thank you so much for being with me through this, stressful personal time, confusing story time, given, we haven't gotten very far in the story at all, yet we still have so many words in it already. But, there's so much to adjust already given new developments, new ideas as we're writing. So we will, when I get to writing it properly, fix it all up as we go, and hopefully it will be a good read when it's finished. I've been wondering vaguely whether to, well, after NaNoWriMo, I'll have a bit of a fair break from this story to reset my mind, I guess, and work on my main magical project to see if I can get this draft finished and hopefully find a few willing readers to give it a good look before I give it hopefully one final edit, and I find the best way to share it with you all. I'm wondering if on top of my main magical project, which given it's going to be a long series of, I thought I'd brought it to 7 books, but it may wind up being 9 or 10. Some of them will be quite a lot shorter than the other ones. I've decided to approach it more like an anime series, in which the first 2 books or series will be quite a bit longer, and the third one will be maybe a half length of that, the way anime series, some seasons are 26 episodes, some seasons are 12 or 13 episodes, whatever gets the job done. So I'm going to be working to that, but that'll be my main project for a while. I may occasionally take a break from that and swap over to a different main project, but I'm wondering whether I should have side projects which I try to release 1 chapter a week, and this story could be a good contender for that. I'd try to get maybe 6 or 7 chapters ahead, and then try to just pull together a chapter for this a week and pop it up. And the only way I'll be able to do that is if I do, I'll have to do a fresh, ridiculously detailed outline using everything I've got, and figure out, I won't be able to make changes on the go anymore, so I'll have to come up with a final plan, this is what is going to happen, and I cannot make any huge deviations from this, at least none that would involve adjusting things earlier on. But, it could work. I think just the idea of being on a chapter a week schedule on top of my main project, it's intimidating. But if I already have, seriously detailed plans down, hopefully I'll be able to do it. My small one will be at school for 3 days a week next year, so I'll have that time during the day. I'll have some time during the day to maybe work on my main projects, and maybe I can grab an hour, maybe 2 hours each night, and they'll be streaming, of course, maybe working on some videos, and also, yes, maybe I'll have the side projects. I'll work on the side projects at night and pull together a chapter a week, and I'll have the safety net of 6 or 7 chapters, and if I hit that, it'll just be time for a hiatus to get 6 or 7 chapters ahead again. There's ways around everything. I hope people would be forgiving of me taking reasonable hiatuses in those situations. Rightio, we have definitely gone over what I intended to do tonight, but I'm not feeling too bad. I might try to do a little bit more preparation for personal things to come. Just a little bit, and then I might listen to a bit more of this audiobook. Yes, thank you again so much for being with me tonight. We've gotten things done. We've made progress on a project, which, I think it's growing on me every day, which is nice, given most stories have had years and years and years to grow on me. I'm liking this. I like the characters. I like the story. I still worry it's a little a little derivative, but so long as it's a good read, so long as it's fun, I need to stop worrying so much about something being derivative. I suppose it just seems like such an insult. They say, oh, your writing's derivative. It's just painful, I guess, but I don't see why it has to be a problem so long as the writing is good. The ideas aren't exactly the same as everything else, just inspired by. And it's fun to read. More and more I'm thinking reading just, it has to be enjoyable, it has to be a fun experience, otherwise why do it? Why do it if it's not fun? Given reading is a pastime, I'm not meaning why do it if it's not fun should apply to all aspects of life. Far from that. Please do not take that meaning from my words. If you're doing something for fun, it should be fun. Rightio. Time to finish up. So, good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. I hope the rest of your day is absolutely lovely, because that's what you deserve. Of all the money that e'er I had, I have spent it in good company. Oh, and all the harm I've ever done, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night, and joy be to you all. Until tomorrow.